California wildfires. It's a natural disaster phenomenon that many of us are familiar with. I remember being 7 years old, looking up to the darkened skies and reaching out with my hands to catch the falling ash. This is unfortunately a memory that many Californian residents can relate to. And not only has this issue continued to take place, it is getting worse. In 2017 and 2018, California was hit with some of the most devastating fires in the state's history, costing 3 million acres and over 130 lives, according to The Independent on June 1st, 2020. I am here today to argue that California needs to implement more comprehensive solutions, including 1. More effective monitoring systems, 2. More local preventative and response resources, and 3. More effective land management practices. In my speech, I'll first be going through the problems associated with California's wildfires. Then I'll be going through the causes, my solutions, and then my conclusion. So first, some of the problems associated with California wildfires. The first, as noted earlier, is that California's wildfires have been getting worse and are predicted to get worse in the upcoming years. According to the scientific report on April 22nd, 2021, California wildfire season has grown in its period of time and has started earlier in July as opposed to August. Furthermore, California wildfires that are small in scale, less than 500 acres, have been increasing rapidly in frequency in the last 2 decades. As mentioned earlier, it is also predicted that wildfires will get worse. In a federal report by climate change scientists in 2018, they highlighted the threats of climate change to humanity and noted specifically that the southwest of America would be hit with more severe wildfires, as noted by the Christian Century on December 19th, 2018. Another problem associated with California's wildfires are the poor health and social responses. And a study by PLOS1 on March 26th, 2021, where they interviewed service providers in order to gauge how well resources were impacting survivors of wildfires, they found that many survivors felt some of the responses or resources were inadequate in providing financial and housing opportunities as well as mental health resources. This despite the fact that they had access to the Federal Emergency Management Agency as well as other charitable organizations. Finally, the third problem associated with California wildfires is the fact that higher income families often have more opportunities for protection compared to low income families. According to the U.S. News the Civic Report on November 22nd, 2019, high income families can 1. During power outages get off the grid and use their own power source, 2. Build their own fireproof structures, and 3. Hire their own private firefighters. This protect yourself mentality needs to be stopped. Instead, we need to work together as a community and help protect the most vulnerable. Now that we talked about the problems, it's time now to talk about the causes of these problems. One of the main causes is the fact that politicians often look for quick solutions to complicated issues like California wildfires. A notable example is a legislation that passed, according to the University of Pacific Law Review on April 1st, 2021, a piece of legislation called SB 474. And this legislation, the building of structures in high-risk fire areas was prohibited, and no fire prevention resources were provided to people who lived in this area. Not only does this prevent people from building fire protective structures in their areas, it also leaves them stranded. They have no resources, again, for fire prevention and are stuck almost fending for themselves. Another cause of this issue, sort of tied with the last one, is that existing agencies are largely inadequate in addressing wildfires in an effective way. This was highlighted by The Independent on June 1st, 2021, where they jokingly awarded CAL FIRE the California Golden Fleece Award. It is a dishonor given to government agencies that either swindle taxpayer dollars or break the public's trust. And in this case, They were given the award 2 years in a row because of their inadequacy in warning residents about ongoing threats of wildfires. So now that we've talked about the causes, let's move on to my solutions. The first solution is one, the establishment of effective monitoring systems. Effective monitoring systems includes early warning systems, camera networks, CO2 sensors, drones, satellites, and artificial intelligence. This would help households establish risks in real time. In conjunction, something called Cat Boost would also be effective. Cat Boost is more of a long-term assessment of risk and looks at 5 factors. 1 is vegetation factors, 2 is land factors, 3 is meteorological factors, then human factors and terrain factors, according to the mathematical problems in engineering on June 20th, 2021. This would again help households on a local level assess their risk in real time as well as in the span of a few years. Secondly, as part of my solution, there needs to be more localized fire prevention and response resources. There was a legislation passed according to the University of Pacific Law on April 1st, 2021 called SB 739. It recognizes that state legislators may be unable to accommodate to local needs, and instead emphasizes on fire prevention training on a local scale. It also emphasizes that entities provide funding to address financial, social, and health-related stresses, again, on a local level. And in addition to this legislation, I also propose that counties coordinate with the state to provide comprehensive fire preparedness guides. Example, ways to structure local fire departments and warning systems. And then finally, as part of my solutions, I propose stronger land management practices. As recently as the 1980s, CAL FIRE burned 30,000 to 65,000 acres a year. However, in recent times, CAL FIRE has burned less than 10,000 acres a year, which has been inadequate in slowing down the buildup of fuel in the state, according to California Agriculture on January 1st, 2019. Because of this buildup of fuel, California has become even more vulnerable to wildfires. However, something that is also noted in this article is that many of the CAL FIRE firefighters are not currently trained in how to do manageable large-scale fires. It's important that we increase this training in order to implement more strong land management practices. In conclusion, while climate change will continue to get worse in recent years, we can work together in cooperation to implement more comprehensive solutions to ensure that we can get wildfires under control. It is up to us to help the next generation secure California. Thank you for your time.